To say you can just sit down and design it all from start to finish in one setting is somewhat unrealistic. You're always going to be tweaking it. So.
We were also lucky enough to get a little bit of a jump by day to give us the opportunity to, as a group, outside of here, strategize, come back here, formally sit down, come up with a plan, revise that plan again, and then start. So it really, we spent a fair amount of time talking amongst ourselves as a group to figure out what we were going to do exactly before we actually started. At least, the day and a half of the 5 days was spent in the planning stage.
So how did teamwork factor into your project?
Teamwork's very important.
Huge.
Without teamwork, you couldn't do the project.
Right. We've all been very lucky that the group of us from day one have gotten along really well. It's a key to any kind of project is you've got to be able to get along, not so much be friends, but to be able to get along. We were lucky enough to actually be able to be friends and to get along, which made it even easier. It's possible to get along without being friends, but certainly much easier.
It's coming out now.
Saying it's not required to be friends. We were lucky. We've been very lucky. Everyone's really pitched in. We've all, been able to get our hands right in there and not step on each other's toes. We haven't had those kinds of conflicts at all, which can really get in the way, given such a short time frame. One little glitch like that can slow things down. We didn't have the luxury of being able to not get along. So it worked out really well from that standpoint.
We had good communication, I'd say, too.
Absolutely.
We're working on separate parts, or we're working on the same part together. It seemed we're.
How much communication did you have outside of the classroom?
Not all that much, actually.
The initial planning.
Yeah,
the initial planning was outside of the classroom, but after that, all the communication was in class.
Right. Again, a testament to our ability to get along. Those kind of, we would have had to spend a lot more time had there been more interpersonal type conflict, which would have slowed the process down. So again, we were all very fortunate in that standpoint.
And initially, we had planned on certain people working on certain parts, while others working on other things, but parts of it required this being done, and those are the problem parts, so that didn't quite work
It's
out.
not nearly as black and white as what we thought. We're playing.
Right.
You have to have a flexible plan.
Right.
You have to be able to adapt.
That is
Adapt and overcome.
What percentage? Hoorah. What percentage of your? I know. Sorry. Hoorah. Okay.
It's too late now.
Tears have started. Oh, here it comes. What percentage of your plan would you say roughly changed from your original plan?
At least 50%, I would say.
If not more.
Yeah,
If not more.
kick it more to 70 maybe. 99.9.
I mean, from what I've seen, I'd have to say that the network access quarantine definitely is the hardest portion of it.
Would you finish when?
About
3 hours
7:15 this morning. Actually, I had the bulk of it down yesterday. It just was having to tweak the scripts a little bit this morning. To spend a little bit of time looking at that last night. And decided I think I finally had it down right and tested it this morning. Worked, so.
How many hours out of class did you spend working on your pieces just for the project?
James, how long did you spend on that? Because you would have been the only one.
More than I care to admit, actually, at the moment. I'd say probably at least a good 10 hours easily, if not more. I mean, that's here and there, but Sunday, a better portion of Sunday, I spent kind of pouring over the network access quarantine, which I knew was going to be the hardest part. Last night, I spent a couple hours looking at it, and tweaking it, and a few hours here and there. So probably at least a good 10 hours, if not more.
As far as the implementation process goes, once you have already identified what you need to have done, did you know right away where to go right-click and check boxes and so on and so forth, or did you?
For parts of it, yeah. I mean, to say that we knew everything, remembered all of that, no. I mean, I think that's kind of the key to the whole class, is you're not going to be able to know every single little thing. There's going to be little things that you do maybe once a year or whatever, when you have to do it again, it's like, oh, I know I've done this a dozen times before, but how do I do that? You might have to go back and look up things again, so.
And we had a notebook too that helped, that
Right.
as we were going along, we were writing our steps down just in case we had to go back to something, we could do it real quick and see it.
Documentation.
Yeah.
Screenshots.
Screenshots, we took screenshots of them.
Especially when we were fighting with the router VPN portion, we did screenshots so that, when this didn't work, we knew exactly what we did to go back to where we had at least portions of it working, so. Any other questions?
Can I go back to the DNS questions? You said that you had a primary zone and a stub zone. How do you keep them synchronized? Is it statically or manually or?
Well, it's an Active Directory, so it's going to be an automatic. dynamic.
With the stub zones, it'll automatically synchronize itself, at whatever the specified interval is. I mean, we could have done just the DNS forwarders, but that the only problem is we changed the DNS server over here. Well, now we've got to go back in and manually change that. So that's kind of a manual deal. But at least with the stub zones, it updates itself automatically.
So we kind of have them kind of integrated to Active Directory?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we put them back in
Yeah,
Active Directory.
yeah.
After we created the trust, we put them back in Active Directory.
Right.
Very well. As far as DSTP, what is your subnet mask for the network?
255.255.255.0.
The default class C.
Let's see.
So if you were to expand or if you were to have more computer devices, what would you have to do then in order to accommodate more equipments?
Well, if we got too large, we could, obviously we could go to the Class B network, which is a major undertaking, but, we can manipulate, the subnet mask, to give us more networks and to kind of give us more addresses that we can use.
So it can be done, but not that easily.
Right. And for the projected growth, that doesn't seem like that would be a problem for quite a while. I mean, at that point, more than likely everything's going to have to be pretty much redone anyway. So.
I had a question about remote users. You were saying that those commuters will be connecting over to the network using terminal services, correct? Or remote desktop?
Remote desktop.
Remote desktop, right?
Okay. However, the sales personnel though would be connecting using VPN.
Right.
Why the difference?
Well, everybody's actually, going to be using, what the remote desktop people do is they'll be using the VPN connection to get into the firewall, internally into the network. From there, they'll just, remote desktop to their machines. So, it's not really using terminal services. It's just getting into the network and then using the remote desktop to access their machines in the office.
Are there advantages or disadvantages of doing one way or the other?
Well, and again, there's always multiple ways of doing things. In my opinion, it's probably easier to set up this way with VPN than they get in and just remote desktop to their machines. We could set up terminal services, but that's a lot more initial setup. And honestly, I really can't think of a good reason myself, to use the terminal services versus just remote desktop.
And I wasn't so clear about, you were saying something about password policies having to be different between a Unix system and the Windows systems.
Right.
Could you maybe elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, the default Windows domain passwords, like I said, it requires
Special characters.
or more secure passwords. You can have long characters. The Unix, unfortunately, we have 8 characters maximum, and only numerical, alphanumeric, and we can't use special characters in it. I know in the past other people have done domains, child domains for the shipping offices, handle the Unix so that you could apply a different group password policy for them. We did a little bit differently. We did basically security filtering, where we applied, we created an OU for the Unix machines, assigned a password policy for them, had the default domain password policy only applied to everybody else. We basically hit the Unix password first, for those machines, and if it applied to them, then that's what their master policy would do.